Good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, to introduce myself, I'm Anish Gupta. I look after the transaction and advisory business at ANAROCK for North India Retail. To quickly first give you an idea about what ANAROCK does. Uh, so we're into leasing transaction business, dedicatedly focused on retail transactions. We're into advisory and consulting. When we talk about advisory and consulting, that is towards investors, developers, and retailers. I'll give you in-depth details of what we actually do for each of these three categories. We are also into strata sales. If you see the current scenario, which is across the country today, I think strata sale projects are more than which are the lease sale assets. We sense an opportunity, and then there is a lot of investors in the market out for such properties, and that's why we started this vertical of strata sale. The last one is alternative assets. So when we talk about alternative assets, we are talking about co-working spaces, hospitals, medical facilities. So these are the other various businesses which my vertical looks at ANAROCK. Coming to who are our three main clients. Okay, so the three main clients to whom we cater are developers, retailers, and investors. I'll quickly just take you through what we do for each of them. So for developers, say you have a piece of land and you want to develop it to a mall. Right from the inception stage is where we get involved with you. Okay, we do the positioning study for you, we do the market study for you. What should be the size of the mall? What should be the positioning of the mall? The feasibility for the mall, the brand mix for the mall, the circulation, zoning, the entire advisory of what the mall should be, what are the categories you should have, what are the categories you shouldn't have, and everything is done depending on the market research for that particular catchment which we have done. So that is the design part of it. Post the design part of it, we come into the leasing part of it. As ANAROCK, we are working with all the major categories. So whether it's multiplexes, hypermarkets, we do have the capability of filling an entire mall from you, getting all the categories which are required for any customer or client which comes into the mall for leisure. We also have a fit-out management team. So we have a company called Vindico. To give you, just to relate to one of the projects which was carried out by Vindico is in Lucknow, we recently had this mall operational by the name of Lulu Mall. So it was much appreciated. You see the signages, the look of the store is very different from what it is in various other stores. So that entire project was done by Vindico, which is a part of our company. Coming to retailers, again for retailers, say a retailer is entering into India, or they want to enter into a territory which is beyond their existing territories. So the entire market research for that territory, the entire market research, where they should open, where they will not dilute the brand, where they will get the positioning, location advisory. Then it comes to property sourcing. So whether it's malls, whether it is high streets, whether it is commercial complexes, we help brands expand in all parts of India. So we as a company, we have actually done transactions in more than about maybe 100 cities across the country. Relocation services is very important. This is a lot of international brands and a lot of leading brands has given us this assignment of they have existing stores. There are stores which are not making money.
Private equity. So there are some, I can't disclose, but there are some of the leading, there's a leading mall in Delhi which has been sold out to a fund. So there are a lot of private equity investors, there are a lot of funds who have been approached, who have approached us to identify assets, leasehold assets. They ignore strata sale assets, which they can purchase. So doing the entire study of which assets should be purchased, that is something which ANAROCK has been doing for them. I'll now take you through a snapshot of what is the current retail scenario in, this is the pan-India retail scenario. Definitely very encouraging. Major population, 65% of our population is below the age of 35. Many of them are double income people. Very encouraging numbers when it comes to retail shopping. 1.5 million super rich households. Currently, the retail market in India is about $670 million. This is estimated to be about $2 trillion. That is where the opportunity lies for all of us who are related to the retail industry. We are the third largest retail market now, after America and China, and we are growing. Uh, some of the important things is when I started my career about 15 years back in retail leasing, what I was told is that the organized market in India for retail is less than 5%. After about 15 years, we've reached a 12%. That just shows us what is the gap, how much growth is there in this market lying ahead for us. There's about 73 million stock which is already there pan India, and we see about 15 million supply coming over in the next 2 to 3 years, or 2 to 4 years in India, which is under construction or planned on the paper. The good thing is that the vacancy in grade A malls is less than 5% when I talk about a pan India number. So if there are very limited grade A malls in the country, and if you're looking at having space in them, we as consultants do go through that phase of you really at times need to fight to get spaces over there. So I will cover this in one of my slides later on, is that we're seeing a lot of growth happening in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. Uh, Tier 1 cities are getting exhausted. We do not have a lot of supply which is coming into the market. Brands need to grow, the balance sheets need to grow. That is where we are seeing that they're open to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. Some of the feedback which we're getting from retailers is that the rent revenue ratio, which we look at as a retailer, is actually turning out to be better or much better in smaller towns. They're doing very good sales, the rentals are very low. Predominantly, these cities are dominated by high streets. You do not have a lot of malls coming up in these small towns, but we are seeing a few of them come now in the near future. A lot of international brands entering India. Some of the brands, I mean, we've seen Tim Hortons, which is expanding, Popeyes, Uniqlo. All these brands have entered India as of now. A lot of demand. They see that opportunity. I mean, if you see the spending power in India, it has grown. Like I said, we are the third biggest economy in the world when it comes to retail spending, after India, after America and China. This is something which has been sensed by international retailers. These are some of the names which have entered India. There are many more in the line which are wanting to enter into India. Uh, the last part of the presentation is I will cover for you that what is the scenario currently in Delhi NCR. So we currently have about 30 million stock. We have only about 12 A-grade malls, as we call them, in Delhi NCR, which are operational, and less than 7% occupancy. An interesting thing which we are noticing in Delhi is, a lot of these malls, which are dead malls, non-occupied, are starting to get occupied. Because there's a constraint in space, a lot of retailers are wanting to expand. Uh, they are approaching these dead malls. So generally how the process is starting, they start taking space. First, the units which are facing the road are getting leased out, because these are the ones which will act as a part of the mall plus also as a part of a high street in case the mall doesn't do well, because it is anyway a dead mall. But as these brands are starting to do well, there's a lot of retailers which are coming and finishing the other part of the mall also. So we've identified a lot of malls within the within the Delhi city, which previously were dead malls, but now they're getting a lot of attention from retailers. So if you see, the retail stock has been going up. Of this retail stock, predominantly most of the stock which is going up into the market is Tata Sale. So my next slide will cover that. Apart from Delhi, in the NCR region, where is the expansion happening? Where is all the supply coming into the market? Uh, Vacancy is definitely going down. There are takers for these malls, whether it's food, multiplexes, hypermarkets. Basically, what happens is that the city is growing. Delhi as a city is growing towards Ghaziabad, towards Noida, towards Faridabad. As the population grows, it needs the facilities of retail. That is where a lot of retail is springing up. So this gives you a general idea about the major residential which is there in Delhi. In fact, Delhi NCR. I've also provided a heat map just to tell you what are the residential prices in many of these places. The ones which you see are circled are actually the ones which are getting the growth. When I say growth, that is where the new retail developments are coming up into the market. Uh, I'll just cover four regions which are the main parts of the Delhi NCR market. If you start off with Gurgaon, predominantly we had most of the supply in the market which was towards the MG road or the golf course road. But today, if you're going beyond the golf course road, if you're going to the golf course extension road, if you go to the SPR, if you go to New Gurgaon, you will see a lot of retail which is coming up over there. It is basically because all these regions are developing first in terms of residential catchment. In fact, if you go to Gurgaon, you start from sector 80 going up to about 95. Every sector has a regional center which is going on, and they're all doing well. You know, people are not willing to travel on the week. See, malls today in India on weekends have become a leisure activity. Uh, we generally have dual income people. Monday to Friday, people are working. Saturday, Sunday, come what may, people want to be out of their house. They shop, they don't shop, but they eat and come. They'll see a multiplex. They'll go to a multiplex. Movies are not there. Family entertainment centers, as we call FECs for children, are doing phenomenally well. Every center has. So when I started about 15 years back and we used to do advisory, we used to have about 80 to 85% of the malls which are concentrated towards shopping. The remaining 15% used to be multiplexes, eating, and playing area for kids. Today, when we do advisory, 40 to 50% of the mall is FEC, multiplex, and food, and about only 50 to 60% is going to be shopping. Definitely, online has given an impact to that, but the major shift which has happened is people want to move out of their houses. Every time you go out on a weekend, it is not that you're going to shop. Everyone's pocket doesn't allow that. But you will definitely go to a QSR, you will eat with your family, your child is going to play at a FEC and he's going to come back. So these, and you don't want to travel too much for it. Everyone doesn't want to go to a destination mall and spend time. So that is why what we are seeing in Gurgaon also, a lot of these, every sector is coming up with a neighborhood center, which is doing very well and getting occupied, easily getting occupied. Uh, the second, if I see at Noida, predominantly previously we had sector 18 or the city center area, which had the malls coming up. Today you drive from Noida to Greater Noida and that expressway on either side, you will see a lot of retail coming up. You go a lot more into the interiors and you will see a lot more retails coming up. Not as bad as Gurgaon, but getting there. Every sector is coming up with some development or the other. Again, strata sold. Major of the properties over here are again coming which are strata sold. Uh, Faridabad is another example. If you look at Ghaziabad today, Ghaziabad always used to be Indrapuram or that entire thing. Today, another area which is growing where a lot of retail is coming up because the residential has grown is Rajnagar extension. So Delhi is getting exhausted. Any project which is coming in Delhi is definitely getting occupied very fast. Existing mall, if the churning happens, they do get occupied very fast. But as the expansion of retailers are happening, they need to expand beyond the Delhi area and go to NCR to fill in their balance sheets. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.